So, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 10, I guess, of the Emoti-kaun series. A quick introduction because a couple of people have joined in newly today. So, on the screen, Sowmiya, where are you? Introducing Sowmiya, Bhas. Yes, so Sowmiya is the founder of a wonderful movement called the W therapies. And she's a practicing psychotherapist. She's a hypnotherapist. She's a shamanic healer. She practices something called as access bars. And she's a mom to a wonderful 1.5-year-old. So that's Sowmiya. I am Hema Subramanian. I'm also a psychotherapist and a practicing hypnotherapist now. I've also worked as a corporate trainer for some years in the past. So both Sowmiya and I had started the series because as therapists, we thought emotional awareness is the need of the hour today. And that is why that's how the entire series began. Sowmiya, do you want to pick up like a quick recap for Anand and Deepika, maybe?
Sure. So I have shared the YouTube channel on which the newest episode is listed first. Over the period of 9 episodes so far, we spoke about, going back right to the beginning, the basics of emotion. What is the basic emotion? How did it develop? And how do you see everything on a wheel of emotions? And sometimes we feel it's very important to place a name for the emotion. The way we look at it, yes, it is important. But even if you don't have a word for it, your body knows how it feels. Just excuse me one moment.
Sure, I'll pick it up from there. And then we started off, we thought we'll spice things up a bit and we'll take up the concept of the Mahabharat characters because we feel that Mahabharat has the most complexity of life, relationships, and emotions that you can ever witness, ever. And maybe that is why we hold it in high regard as a benchmark to know what works for people, what doesn't work for people, and what are the emotions that work in our favor, and how do you manage it, and what happens as a consequence of all of that. So yeah, over to you, back Sowmiya. You okay? Well, I'll take it forward from there now. So we started off talking about love, and we said it's a very important emotion, obviously. And we broke it into 4 categories. You can revisit our video about love, self-love. That's where we started. The last 2 sessions were about self-love. We did 2 quick meditations. The last one was a full moon meditation. So we're presuming people who attended that would have felt a difference. And will continue to feel a difference, right? And then, of course, there are a lot of aspects of self-love that are still pending. We still have to talk about how do you devote yourself to a cause and stuff like that. But today we want to delve back into another emotion, that's anger. And so I'm going to throw this forum open to people. And I want you to tell me which characters in Mahabharat do you felt were angry? Okay. And as you say this, I'm also going to type it in the chat so that we can all see. So you can unmute yourself and talk, or you can also put it out in the chat. Which characters do you remember being angry in the Mahabharat series? I'll take the first one. I recall Duryodhan as a very, very angry character. Anybody else who wants to add to this?
Actually, I don't remember all the characters, but okay. I remember it's either Bhima or Bhishma who's very takatvar, and so I think power is equal to, I associate power is equal to anger for that character. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, power is equal to anger is very apt sometimes, but not in
always,
Bhishma character, but maybe in the Bhim character. Yeah. So Lavanya says
Yep.
Shakuni, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari. Okay, they were also angry people. Yeah. Who else? So we'll also add
Draupadi.
Bhim.
Draupadi.
Draupadi was definitely angry, right? Okay. And the entire war happened beyond that, beyond her anger. Yeah. Who else? Okay, Sharda says yes, Draupadi. A lot of other characters who were shown to be perennially angry, you know, Shishupal or even Ashwathama at the later stages. Karna was angry.
Ashwatthama,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So Ashwathama was shown to be very angry later on. For that matter, even his father was very angry, right? As a person, I mean, to a certain extent, he was angry as well. What do you think? Was Krishna angry at any given point in time? Do you recall him being angry?
Yeah, I think once on the battlefield.
Correct.
Only once.
Oh, a couple of times maybe he allows. For him, the outburst of anger is not very loud, right? It's a very subtle thing. He just
Yeah.
comes down, picks up a Sudarshan Chakra and says, okay, now you're going to see what's going to happen. So yeah, that's a different expression of anger. We'll talk about that too. How do we express anger? So yeah. So let's pick up all these characters one at a time and you tell me, what was Duryodhana angry about? Like, what reason did he have to be angry about? What was Duryodhana angry about primarily? Or was he just born angry? Can people be born angry?
Entitlement.
Entitlement, okay. So what does that mean? For just to simplify entitlement, what is your understanding of it?
He wanted power, maybe. Like he is entitled to the kingdom, but he was not getting it, and someone else was more powerful or called benevolent, and he was not.
Correct. Fair enough. And I think to a great extent, Bhim carried that anger as well, right? Because he felt rightfully the kingdom was supposed to be theirs, and Yudhishthir was fairly a very non-player, no? He used to just sit and say, yeah, okay, fine, let's look at peace and let's do whatever it takes time. But Bhim, I think, was a reflection to a great extent of Duryodhan. And he also felt. So, what is the difference between the anger that Bhim had and Duryodhan had? Like, was there a difference? Like, it's open to the others as well. For people who have not seen Mahabharat, Deepika and a lot of other people, if you have not seen Mahabharat, it's available for free on YouTube. I don't know why I'm promoting it, but it's where
But we'll watch it.
yeah, the B.R. Chopra version is available for free. And it's pretty much binge-worthy, I think. Some dialogues are pretty chill in that B.R. Chopra version of Mahabharata. That's very interesting. So, yeah. So, what is the difference between Bhim and Duryodhan's anger? Was primarily Bhim came across as somebody who has righteous anger. What is righteous anger? Any idea of what righteous anger is? You heard of this term? Krishna's anger is righteous anger. Bhishma's anger, like Deepika said, Bhishma was also angry. Yeah, he was angry a couple of times, especially during, the Draupadi Vastraharan when it happens, or when he decides, when he recommends that just split the kingdom, yeah. Just split it. Why are you fighting over it? Just give this person half, give that person half, and finish it off. No? And so that's the time he used to get very angry because every time he would go to advise Dhritarashtra would be like, no, I don't want to do this. No, like how a child does. No, I don't want to eat. No, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to listen to this. So that kind of pushes us into a corner as well, right? Mothers in the group will agree to this point. Like when you're trying to tell your child to do something and the child comes back with, no, I don't want to. I don't feel like. So that can also push us into a space where we tend to get irritated. So, so righteous anger per se is when we feel that there is something unfair that has happened to us. So now, which leads us to another question. Who decides what's fair, what's not? You think anybody can decide that? Do we all have a moral standard of what is right and what is not right? Any takers?
Maybe the
Yeah, right
basic
and wrong.
principles,
Sorry?
maybe the basic principles would
Maybe the
tell
basic
us, and
principles, yes, yes. Because we have to work as a society, right? So somebody has said कि ये नहीं करना है. Somebody has laid a rule that this is not fair, this is not allowed, and this is how it should be. Any idea in the Mahabharat who was very, very well versed with all of this? What is the right and what is not right and stuff like that?
Vidur.
Sorry?
Vidur.
Yeah, yeah. And you will realize that, again, if you go back and watch the BR, I'm kind of hard selling it today, the BR Chopra Mahabharat. But if you go back and Dhritarashtra is solid angry with Vidur because he comes back with the set of rules and he says, "No, no, ye rule book mein likha hai. It's written in the rule book. We have to follow what is written there." So that's kind of pretty annoying to Dhritarashtra, who doesn't want to believe that. So yeah, there are some rules that are set for us to coexist peacefully as we can, rather. And that is a time when all of these rules, morals, ethics, social values, our morality, all of this comes into play, right? So righteous anger always comes up when we know for sure that this is not a right thing to do. Yeah. Rapes, murders, cheating, all of these are supposedly not in the right, don't fall in the right social bracket. So definitely that's righteous anger. So Bhishma had a lot of righteous anger, what is right and what is not. And Krishna, of course, would step in only if he feels that that is like some kind of unjust behavior is crossing a particular limit. Yeah. So Bhim's anger was a righteous anger. Who else do you think of all the characters that you named? Who else had that anger that stemmed from this is not fair? What happened to me is not fair. Couple of more characters, definitely.
Arjun.
Okay, in what way?
Especially with Draupadi's Vastraharan.
All of them had righteous anger. All the five brothers, including Kunti, including Draupadi. Draupadi's was a righteous anger in terms of saying that, you know, this is not fair. What happened to me was not fair. Anything could have happened, but this should not have happened. Yeah. Who else had this? Any idea? Big recommendation, hashtag binge watch Mahabharat on YouTube exclusively. Maybe I'll share the link.
Noted. We will watch it.
yeah, I think I'll have to.
It's quite
Yeah,
to
now
watch,
it's
actually.
sparked the interest also. Now,
Yeah. No, and these are very interesting series because it'll unfold. Some things unfold beautifully. Drona, I don't know if you know the story of Drona and how he started getting angry with Drupad, right? That's Draupadi's father. And also to a great extent, that became a triggering factor between, creating rivalry. So he was promised Drupad and Drona studied together, and when there's friendship and said, "Tu mera bhai hai, and we'll be together, and what's mine is yours," and all of that, and all of that. So one fine day, Ashwathama says, "I want milk." No, he's never tasted milk in his life. So he goes and he says, "Okay, can you like spare some money, kind of a thing?" And then Drupad says, "Oh, I can't give you money. Who are you? I don't, you're not my league. So just get out of my space because you're not my kind," kind of a thing. That was righteous anger. Like, you promised me something and that didn't work out. So that's also a big letdown for us. And I think this is also the time when we start talking about unfulfilled expectations and being left out, you know. So disappointment can also lead to anger. Now, I know Deepika and Anand have worked with them in the past, so I know about appraisals and how people say that, "Arey, is baar zyada milega, bonus zyada milega," and then, you know, you look at it and you're like, what? how,
True.
how did
Yeah.
Very
that?
true.
That is like the simplest example of righteous anger. मेरे को बोला था मेरे बॉस ने इतना मिलेगा, you know, and he didn't keep his word. So to a great extent, it is not about you getting the money or not. It is about being promised something and not meeting that, you know. And it need not happen only with money. It can happen with even keeping their word, right? Like some of us do get affected by because people don't keep their word. I was told this or I was promised this. My mother has a major problem with maids not turning up unannounced. You know, they just don't turn up one day, right? And my mother gets really angry. She's like, I'm going to teach her. I'm going to tell her this. I'm going to tell her that. And when I ask her, why are you getting so angry? You know, they don't have that much mental space to, you know, they don't know how to communicate and stuff. So she's like, that's not the point. The point is, if she's not going to come, she should let me know. Should not build up an expectation. Tell me that I'm going to come at this time and not come. No? So a lot of time, righteous anger comes up uh, when uh, when our promises made to us are not met. Okay. Sowmiya sent me a beautiful quote today about the same thing. Sowmiya, do you want to take that forward? Just maybe read out that quote or explain a part of it, kinds.
I'll just read that out
Yeah.
and maybe everyone can share their views. I got it as part of a group that I'm in. My friend shared it. I never understood my anger until I heard this. Your anger is a part of you that knows your mistreatment and abuse are unacceptable. Your anger knows you deserve to be treated well and with kindness. Your anger is a part of you that loves you. And this hits different. I agree with it because our anger is response to something that we don't want and we know that we don't deserve. It's toxic sometimes if we perceive that, but if we will try to understand it, anger is self-love. You are disagreeing on something that you knew you don't deserve. So any inputs on that? If you want, I'll type it and share it.
I think sometimes we don't stand up for ourselves when we're supposed to. So that's what I gauged from the first part of it. And then later on, we realized, oh my God, I didn't stand up for myself. Why did I let this go on for so long? Something of that nature.
And the anger, like we have love for ourselves, right? We also have anger for ourselves. And uh, there are a lot of people that I know who are so upset with themselves if they don't get it right, if they don't do something, or they don't meet their own expectations for that matter. No? They're so angry with themselves. And it just feels like, yeah, who else to blame, right? Because I should have used my brains. And you will also notice if you just go back and look at times when you were angry with yourself, you were actually disappointed with yourself. You know, because I have the
True.
caliber. I have the caliber to think. I have the caliber to, you know, safeguard myself or stand up for myself. But I didn't, yeah. Anger turned inwards, yeah, definitely. So that's also, I think a lot of people suffer from that. Especially when you can't hold anybody else responsible or the other person doesn't take responsibility for most of what is happening. So disappointment is a big factor in fueling anger, especially anger turned inwards. Anybody wants to share anything around this?
Nothing to share, but I would agree to you. Disappointment is one of the reasons for someone to be angry.
Yeah,
Maybe expectations that you have um, towards the other person or people
yeah,
or a group,
yeah,
and they do not comply to it. I wouldn't say it comply, but kind of an expectation, and that leads
yeah.
to an anger. Yeah.
So, this is also a big thing, right? I mean, the more we talk about expectations, we'll probably talk a great deal about it, because I think as far as relationships are concerned, this is a big thing. See, philosophically, everybody says, come on, anger is not okay, let go. That's a poison that you drink for somebody else's mistake. And no, philosophically, everything sounds amazing. When we read that quote, you're like, ah, barabar, barabar, correct. This is the correct approach to take here. But it's not as simple as it looks, right? And Sowmiya has made a point here more. Passive anger, yes. We also call it passive aggressive behavior. Any examples of what passive aggression can be? Oh, corporate world, it works on passive aggression. So I'm sure you'll have like tons of examples. I can give you hundreds of examples of passive aggression.
Silent treatment.
Silent treatment, yes. One of the best tools, mostly used by women. Not that men are too far away, but yeah. They go into video games and phones or TV. Women are more quiet. So even though women are quiet, how does the anger get displayed? Somebody has to know that you're angry. Otherwise, what's the point of being angry, right?
Body language, I guess.
Body language, yes. Okay, major.
Yeah.
And
Making noises in the kitchen.
yeah,
Throw
yes.
the glass.
Throw the glasses, yeah, throw things around, bang the doors,
Yeah.
just make a
Best
point,
part
make a,
is people stop talking.
yeah, people stop talking. And yeah, that can really be an indicator of, yeah, they'd probably be pretty angry or
But
upset.
Hema, is sarcasm also
Oh,
passive
yes,
aggressive?
yes,
That
yes,
happens in
definitely.
corporate world a lot.
Definitely that happens in the corporate world. I used to be a pro at it at one given point in time.
We
But,
remember.
yeah. But it again, to a great extent, what happens with passive aggression and sarcasm and everything is that somehow you also get entangled in that own game, the game that you create. That's the tricky
Yeah.
part. So what happens beyond the passive aggression and the sarcasm is that you created a web. Now you are in the middle of the web. Now you don't know how to get out of it. And the issue is not going to be sorted anyways. So I don't know. I don't know how it then pans out. It just becomes a part of how you behave, or becomes a part of your coping with disappointment or hurt. So yeah, passive anger is pretty much something that's it's actually more
Gen Z
dangerous.
Alpha is blocked.
Sorry.
Gen Z Alpha, they do is blocking.
Correct. They just block out the person, make a statement saying that, okay, I don't need you anymore. So yeah, that's definitely something that's there. How else do we display passive aggression? And this is a joke, right? Mostly directed towards women again. Not that men are too far away from it. चाय में शक्कर ज्यादा डाल दिया या नहीं डाला, खाने में नमक ज्यादा डाल दिया नहीं डाला, मिर्ची ज्यादा डल गई बस, that's about it. Figure it out. So to a great extent, our actions and our sarcasm and our actions are supposed to indicate to the other people that we are upset, we are angry. However, for a lot of people, it's not great communication. Yeah, and in the Indian context, it's definitely not great communication, because people are like, yeah, fine, you're angry. You get angry most of the time, then patak rahi hai, okay. So there is this switching off. You are also switching off an emotion, that's anger, and they are switching off receiving that emotion by whatever, indulging into something that closes the communication. So passive behaviors can turn really dangerous if you let those thoughts brew in your mind for a very long time. What do you think happened to Shakuni here? He wanted to take revenge for the unfairness of his sister being married to a blind king. Of course, he didn't realize that his sister was okay with it to a great extent, but he felt that that was not fair. So, not knowing what to do about that anger, and leads to further scheming, right? If I do this, maybe then that person will realize. If I do this, maybe that person will realize. But oftentimes it just becomes a game then, and it has no end. So it becomes passive aggression becomes very tricky, because then, see, it's not a one-sided thing. It's not that you can get angry and be passive aggressive and the other person will never respond to it. That cannot happen, no? Because anyways, we are doing all of this to get a reaction from the other person. So if the other person is not going to react, it's going to tick you off even more, or they are going to come at you with a bigger force, with a bigger anger, or with another game to counter yours, which is going to be very tricky for you to handle. So yeah, that's a lot of rambling from me. Sowmiya, do you want to add anything to this? Passive.
Not much, just to point out that righteous anger, passive anger, it's usually exhibited outwards. You show the anger towards another person. You want to express it and show it that way. Now, and that is maybe dangerous or scary to one level. Anger turning inwards, that is dangerous and scary to another level, because now you're not expressing it. You are your worst enemy. And this in turn goes into another cycle, which can, the end result can be depression or self-harm, or the only person you're hurting the most is yourself. With the other types of anger, yes, you are hurting others visibly. That's what happens. And I think in Mahabharat, I don't remember who had this anger turned inwards. I don't remember any character from that. But righteous anger, passive anger, yes, that in the Mahabharata we can pick up from. So anger display, yes, we must express. Ways of expression becomes more important, at least now, right now. How do we express what we feel? Making sure that the message is communicated, and at the end of the day, we feel, why are we expressing anger? Because we are not at peace. How do we get our peace back? So, Hema, maybe you can say a few words on that.
So I think Sowmiya is absolutely right. See, understand that all of these emotions are not there for fun, right? They're there for a reason. This is something that we picked up right in our first session. So they are trying to tell us something. And if we don't get the message, it will keep coming back to us. So the very fact that we are all in this session today is a good indicator to our own mind, saying that, yeah, we are willing to look deeper within this anger. So like you must have already noticed right now that anger is not the main emotion. The main emotion behind anger, one of the reasons is disappointment. Yeah. In the forthcoming sessions, we look at other emotions that are hidden under anger. Yeah, anger or irritation. And we'll hopefully you'll watch a couple of or at least some episodes of Mahabharat. Again, hashtag VR Chopra Mahabharat being hard sold on our channel too. So if once you watch it, you'll also get a hang of why they were the way they were. Yeah. And how did people deal with that? How did they deal with that? And what makes this kind of anger, a certain kind of anger, dangerous? To add to what Sowmiya said, anger turned inwards Usually, Louise Hay was a very, very famous motivational speaker and healer. And she said that if you direct your anger inwards, it will get stored in your body and manifest as diseases. Okay, not trying to scare you here. Fortunately, she's also given a list of affirmations to break through those emotions. So, like Sowmiya says, talk to your body, drop into your body, ask your body what is happening, and you will get a very clear indicator of what is it that you're feeling. So, in her book called "You Can Heal Your Life" and her first book "You Can Heal Your Body," again, hard selling Louise Hay. There is a list of all the disorders and diseases that people suffer from, and what is the emotion, and therefore to counter that emotion, what is the affirmation that people use that she's recommended. And I'm telling you, it's very apt. I mean, she discovered this way back, and it's very apt even till today. So if you can pick up that book, or at least go through the last few pages of, how the affirmations work for different things, it'll be super. So with that, we leave you today thinking about other aspects and homework, not really homework, like recommendations for you to watch the Mahabharat or read it up, or read up a little bit of Louise Hay. And we'll see you next week with continuing discussions about anger. So we have like a couple of minutes. If there are any questions or anything specifically you want us to talk about in our forthcoming sessions, you can tell us now. Any particular issue that you want us to talk about? Yes, no, maybe.
So I
Yes.
just had one thing to talk about. When you say passive anger or the righteous anger that you have, and definitely it has caused you to a disappointment.
Hmm.
I know that you don't have to be, this is what I understand. You don't have to react to it so that the other person or the person on the other side doesn't get hurt due to our actions. Maybe I'm too early to ask this, but how do we control that?
Your passive anger you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
everything, Anand, starts with understanding what's happening, no? Sometimes when we understand it or even acknowledge it, I think Sowmiya says this very beautifully. Sometimes we don't need to label exactly in words what's happening. But just acknowledging that I'm angry, sometimes it just takes the anger away. So
Okay.
again, maybe you want to revisit our episode number 1, where we speak about why emotions come up. It's like somebody knocking at your door. It's trying to tell you something. If you don't open the door, it will knock harder. So it's an indicator. The first step to everything is to understand what you are feeling and why you are feeling it. The minute that understanding comes in, automatically you will know what to do with it. Sometimes you may not even need to do anything about it. Okay? The game begins when we say, no, we cannot do this. I cannot get angry. Nobody can get angry. Like in leadership, it's told, right? We are all drill karke apne dimag mein rakhte. You cannot get angry. You have to be polite. You cannot get angry with your staff.
Yeah,
You have to behave like a perfect bahu. No, like you have a perfect bahu, a mythical one. Like you have the perfect
correct.
leader, a mythical one. So these are also some things that it's a laid out rule. It doesn't work like that all the time. Okay, but we'll talk about it more. We probably are running out of time right now, but I'll keep this in mind. If you join in next week,
Sure.
we'll definitely talk about this.